Hello everyone and welcome to my channel YNR Trends. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Phyllis Summer's heedless ambition seemed to have finally caught up with her in the most catastrophic way possible. Phyllis has been dancing too close to the flames for months, tricking, manipulating, and plotting her way through the power corridors of Genoa City. However, this time she has discovered herself in a trap that is too intricate, too risky, and too well planned to avoid. And who was the genius behind it all? It's none other than Victor Newman, the patriarch who has built a living by destroying anyone who ventures outside of his dominion. Phyllis believed she could outwit Victor, enter his world, gain some of his power, and leave untouchable, wealthy, and powerful. She was unaware, however, that she had been stepping straight into a web that was intended to reveal all of her flaws, every dark recess of her history, and every unlawful action she had ever taken. And now that the trap is closing, the impending legal repercussions could permanently alter her life. It all started when Phyllis fell for a business offer that seemed too good to be true, complete with promises of a strategic alliance with the most inventive branch of Newman Enterprises, insider information, and glittering tech collaborations. After being driven out of several endeavors, Phyllis, who has always taken satisfaction in being 2 steps ahead of her competitors, thought this was the ideal opportunity to establish dominance. She hoped to restore her reputation as a trailblazer in the IT sector, and possibly even demonstrate to Genoa City's corporate elite that she could compete on an equal footing with Victor. Phyllis was unaware, however, that the offer she had received originated from Victor's network, a group of independent investors who were only puppets in a protracted, well-planned scheme to entice her. Victor played the long game as usual. He had become more wary of Phyllis's activities, especially her alleged involvement with Kane Ashby's AI technology, and the rumors that she had used private information pilfered from Jabot and Newman Media to finance her most recent endeavor. Victor sensed a chance, while others wrote it off as rumors. In order to give Phyllis exclusive access to corporate intelligence that would enable her to leapfrog her rivals, he surreptitiously arranged for one of his most reliable operatives to approach her. The proposition was alluring to Phyllis, who enjoys taking big risks and making covert power moves. She failed to see the fine print, which included baited files, concealed clauses, and private information intended to link her to corporate espionage. In an instant, Victor's scheme started to take shape. Within weeks, Phyllis had unintentionally viewed digitally labeled files containing private Newman Enterprises information that had been purposefully labeled with traceable code. The trap was set as soon as she imported that information into her system. Under Victor's employ, cybersecurity specialists linked Phyllis's IP address to every keystroke, file transfer, and piece of evidence. The legal circle was already closing in on her by the time she realized what she had entered. Phyllis now has to deal with a terrible string of legal and personal repercussions. There are rumors circulating in the Genoa City legal community about potential accusations of business espionage, data fraud, and intellectual property theft. According to reports, the Newman legal team has prepared a case that, if prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, might not only deprive Phyllis of her riches but possibly put her in jail. Naturally, the irony is that Phyllis has already skirted legal issues by outwitting competitor companies, avoiding justice in corporate crises, and manipulating her way out of criminal accusations after pretending to be dead. However, things are different this time. Victor wants to permanently undermine her credibility, not merely teach her a lesson. The elite of Genoa City are observing behind closed doors with differing opinions. Jack Abbott is conflicted since he and Phyllis have a complicated past. Even by Newman's standards, he feels that Victor's approach is brutal, despite his rage over her betrayals. He has witnessed Victor's abilities, including how he manipulates evidence, bribes off judges, and uses the entire power of his empire to destroy anyone who gets in his way. Despite all of her flaws, Jack is aware that Phyllis might not be able to withstand this kind of assault. He is aware, however, that she was mostly responsible for it because she crossed so many moral boundaries that it is now impossible to determine her true allegiances. In the meantime, Michael Baldwin, who has previously represented both Phyllis and Victor, finds himself in a precarious situation. He will have to negotiate the perilous seas of defending a lady who might have willfully or unknowingly committed business crimes against the most powerful family in Genoa City if Phyllis wants him to represent her once more. Additionally, Michael's presence on the opposing side will not sit well with Victor, who still views Michael as an ally. A trial that sets ambition against legacy, dishonesty against power, and a woman's desperate struggle for life against a man who never loses might easily turn into one of the most spectacular courtroom dramas in the city's recent history. Phyllis's reputation could be ruined by the legal repercussions alone. From her recent involvement with Kane Ashby's AI technology to her manipulation of hotels in Genoa City, prosecutors may delve into her past and uncover every contentious action she has ever taken. In addition to criminal charges, Phyllis may face civil lawsuits from Newman Enterprises and maybe Jabot, depending on the extent to which her actions impacted both businesses, if it is established that she was involved in any intellectual property theft or tampering. Additionally, Phyllis can encounter solicitors, judges, and detectives who are subtly working against her due to Victor's large financial resources and numerous contacts inside the judicial system. However, one thing about Phyllis Summers that everyone is aware of is that she never gives up. She's probably already planning her next move as the storm approaches, possibly even reversing the situation in an unforeseen way. There are rumors that she has been contacting private detectives and IT specialists to find out if Victor's evidence was fabricated. She may be able to clear her name and reveal Victor's deceitful methods if she can demonstrate entrapment, or that she was tricked into committing a crime. Victor Newman, though, has too much experience to leave anything unfinished. Every document, letter, and purported coincidence has been expertly planned to make Phyllis appear guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This might be one of Phyllis's lowest emotional moments to date. The allies she previously relied on are beginning to back off, and the walls are closing in. According to reports, Nick Newman, who has a convoluted and lengthy past with her, is incensed by her behavior. She has not only brought the Newman name into disrepute once more, but she has also jeopardized the family's company, which Victor will use to finally force a wedge between her and Nick. Caught in the middle, Summer Newman could have to decide between protecting her image and standing up for her mother. Phyllis's repercussions extend beyond the courtroom. They also affect her family, friendships, and future, all of which she has already made significant sacrifices for. Phyllis's demise may become the buzz of Genoa City in the upcoming weeks. Bloggers will speculate about her guilt, journalists will go into every detail, and Victor will undoubtedly make sure that the public narrative portrays her as the avaricious, unreliable manipulator that she has always been suspected of being. Victor believes that setting an example is more important than merely punishing. He wants to make it clear that nobody can cross a Newman and escape unharmed. However, because Phyllis is nothing if not unpredictable, there is still a hint of anticipation. She generally manages to reappear just when everyone has given up on her, usually with a startling discovery that completely changes the course of events. Could she find evidence that Victor was the mastermind behind the entire plan? Could she change the situation by using blackmail against someone in the legal community? Could she reveal a more extensive plot that involves more people than simply Victor, possibly even turning Newman's supporters against him? All of these options indicate that the story is far from finished. But for the time being, Phyllis is on the verge of a terrible reckoning. Her connections, power, and understanding of corporate law, the very system she has been manipulating for years, may ultimately work against her. She is now caught, humiliated, and legally vulnerable as a result of Victor's trap. Her freedom may be in jeopardy, her company may be shut down, and her name may be placed on a blacklist. Even though she has already faced formidable foes, this encounter feels different because it is colder, more intimate, and far riskier. Victor Newman has always held the view that retribution is best served gradually, and this time his perseverance has paid off. Believing she could play the same game he had been mastering for decades, Phyllis fell into his grasp. Phyllis must now confront the terrifying truth that she could have finally found her match as she sits in her penthouse, gazing at court paperwork and impending indictments. The legal circle is coming to an end. Her supporters are disappearing. Her kingdom is collapsing. Victor Newman, the one guy she should never have undervalued, is observing from his office, composed, self-assured, and triumphant. Nevertheless, Phyllis will fight back if she still has a spark. She will look for any leverage she can find, twist, and claw. Because Phyllis Summers has never considered giving up, even when everyone else thinks she is done. It remains to be seen, though, if her stubbornness will save her or cement her doom. Genoa City will never forget the day Phyllis Summers fell into Victor's trap and had to deal with the terrible repercussions that even she was unable to avoid, outsmart, or charm. Someone doesn't know Phyllis Summers at all if they believe she would gently fall from grace. Phyllis had entered full survival mode following the heartbreaking discovery that Victor Newman had set up a complex trap to frame her for corporate espionage. The fiery redhead, who has been referred to as both a genius and a threat, is not going to submit to Victor's brand of brutal justice. However, it becomes painfully evident as the courtroom drama progresses that Phyllis has miscalculated the extent of Victor's influence, not only in business but also within the legal system. Genoa City is in complete disarray in the weeks preceding the trial. The Newman legal team acts quickly, bringing accusations that depict Phyllis as a crafty corporate thief who purposefully took confidential information from Newman Enterprises. To exacerbate the situation, Victor's lawyers have access to digital documents, emails, and timestamps, all of which appear to be solid proof linking Phyllis to the crime. Once defending Phyllis through numerous controversies, Michael Baldwin reluctantly withdraws this time after seeing that taking up her case would put him in direct opposition to Victor, his longtime client and friend. Phyllis is left scrambling for legal counsel in the absence of Michael's knowledge and connections. Avery Bailey Clark, Phyllis's half-sister and one of the most astute lawyers in the area, enters the picture. Everyone is taken aback by her return to Genoa City, particularly Nick and Summer. Although Avery and Phyllis have always had a tense relationship, she feels compelled to intervene after learning that Victor has cornered her sister. Phyllis has some hope because of Avery's track record of defeating even the most strong legal opponents. Even Avery is aware that this fight would be unlike any other since Victor Newman is trying to destroy Phyllis's entire legacy, rather than just win a case. Victor is as composed as ever behind the scenes. He manages every action from his Newman Towers office, including the legal team, the PR plan, and the strategically timed media leaks to guarantee Phyllis's reputation keeps deteriorating. Victor's scheme is just as much about humiliation as it is about justice. He wants everyone to perceive Phyllis as the careless lady who failed miserably while believing she could play in his league. Phyllis Summers accused of high-tech espionage, Newman Empire strikes back, and Victor Newman vows to crush corporate criminals, are just a few of the headlines that further emphasize this story in the Genoa City Chronicle. The trial gets underway dramatically. Reporters, attorneys, and well-known members of Genoa City's elite are crammed into the courtroom. Jack Abbott quietly shows up, sitting in the back row with an unreadable expression. He believes Phyllis has no chance because he knows Victor too well, and has frequently been the target of Newman's rage. Torn between her mother and her grandfather, Summer makes an effort to be strong, but she almost collapses when she sees Phyllis being carried into court, pale but resolute. My client has been framed in an elaborate act of corporate entrapment designed to destroy her credibility and career, is how Avery begins her defense. It's the kind of argument that draws attention right away. The evidence presented by the prosecution was not found, it was planted. Victor is accused by Avery of manipulating law enforcement and bending the system to his will by leveraging his influence and authority. However, Victor's legal team, headed by the icy and cunning Leslie Michelson, retaliates with accuracy, providing digital logs, emails, and testimony that all demonstrate Phyllis's direct participation in the theft of private Newman information. The truly shocking revelation is that Victor has a surprise witness, who shocks everyone in the courtroom when they are exposed. Kane Ashby is here. Phyllis is being accused of using stolen AI technology months ago, and now the same man is testifying against her. According to Kane, Phyllis approached him under false pretenses, attempted to influence his staff, and eventually profited from stolen technology connected to the Jabot and Newman media systems. It is evident that Phyllis did more than simply steal from Victor. Her entire tech comeback was based on dishonesty. Phyllis is caught off guard. She is clearly furious at Kane, but what hurts much more is realizing that Victor has somehow used all of her previous transgressions against her. Avery attempts to undermine Kane by bringing up his own corporate scandal and dishonesty, but the damage has already been done. Phyllis appears to the jurors and the general public to be a habitual offender who enjoys breaking the law for her own benefit. Victor's public relations machine is operating non-stop outside the courtroom. The timing couldn't be worse for Phyllis, whose hotel firm faces immediate blowback, as Newman Enterprises issues a public statement highlighting its commitment to ethical business practices and zero tolerance for corporate theft. Investors withdraw. She is called a liability by the media. The lady who used to take great satisfaction in being one of Genoa City's most powerful independent forces is now fighting to keep the lights on. Phyllis still has one more card to play, despite how dire things appear. Avery finds a startling discrepancy in the Newman files during the discovery stage. A secret metadata trail indicating that the allegedly stolen files were uploaded from a protected Newman server prior to Phyllis ever accessing them. It's a tiny hint, but it's enough to raise the possibility that Phyllis was set up by someone at Newman Enterprises. Avery believes that one of Victor's workers, or possibly even one of his own kids, may have falsified the information in order to frame her. The courtroom erupts when Avery presents the evidence to Victor's lawyers. The judge requests an explanation. It appears for a split second that Phyllis may finally be in control. Unfazed, however, Victor calmly asks for a break. A signed document from the Newman IT director, which claims that the metadata difference was caused by a routine server backup and has no influence on the veracity of the evidence, is another surprise he brings out shortly after. Once more, Victor's impact is felt. Phyllis's glimmer of hope is dashed when the court accepts the explanation. The emotional toll starts to wear her down as the trial goes on. Phyllis's self-assurance is replaced by tiredness. She wonders how everything went so wrong as she spends long evenings at the Grand Phoenix gazing out over the city she once governed. In her more private times, she challenges her identity as well as her decisions. Has she always acted so carelessly? Has she finally been wrecked by her ambition to outwit everyone and win at all costs? Even Phyllis Summers, the queen of reinvention, is unable to shake this unsettling self-realization. In the meantime, rumors start to circulate that Victor may not be motivated solely by justice. Some claim that he is using Phyllis as a diversion, a pawn in a bigger scheme to strengthen his position of authority and get rid of any possible rivals inside Newman Enterprises. Some suspect that his real objective is to incite Jack Abbott to take revenge, rekindling their long-standing conflict and deflecting attention from internal Newman disputes. For whatever reason, Victor's methodical destruction of Phyllis's life is terrifyingly successful. Refusing to give up, Avery chooses to adopt a more intimate strategy. Appealing to Nick Newman's residual love for Phyllis, she has a secret meeting with him. She says to him, "You know your father. You are aware that he destroys people rather than merely punishing them." Nick finds himself at a crossroads, divided between his allegiance to his father and his past with Phyllis. You can't let him do this to her. He knows in his heart that Phyllis isn't innocent, but he also understands that Victor may distort the facts to suit his purposes. Surprisingly, in an attempt to assist Avery in discovering evidence that Victor falsified, Nick surreptitiously gives her access to internal Newman correspondence. What Avery discovers next has the potential to completely alter the situation. An encrypted message from one of Victor's legal advisors, timestamped days prior to the alleged data theft, outlining how they will ensure traceability to Phyllis's devices. It's the smoking gun they've been looking for. Avery brings the document to court the following day. There is silence in the room. A flicker of annoyance appears on Victor's face, a rare crack in his generally unbreakable armor, but his expression remains unwavering. Victor's legal team is unsure for the first time when the judge orders a review of the document's legitimacy. The jury realizes that Phyllis may have been the victim of a sophisticated Newman power move after all. It is intolerable to witness Summer Newman's grief in the meantime. With sorrow and rage in her eyes, she approaches her mother at the Grand Phoenix. "Mom, how could you? How could you assist Victor in destroying the business where I've put so much effort into creating my own?" Phyllis begs her daughter to comprehend that she was merely attempting to reclaim authority and respect. Summer, however, is unable to hear it. She informs her mother that she will no longer support her schemes. "Every bridge you have ever constructed has been destroyed by fire." Summer's remarks wounded worse than any corporate treachery could. "Don't expect me to be the one who rebuilds it for you this time." Phyllis realizes for the first time that she may have lost everything, including her daughter's affection, her work, and her allies. Victor, on the other hand, thinks he has triumphed. However, his kingdom is never as secure as he believes. Nikki is getting more uncomfortable every day. She is sick of his never-ending campaigns and brutal methods, and this most recent action, particularly the use of their grandson as a pawn, disgusts her. "You've turned our family into a weapon," Nikki accuses Victor in one of the scariest exchanges in recent memory. Victor brushes off her warning, but a glimmer of worry appears in his eyes. "And one day that weapon is going to turn on you." Nikki may also be correct. Almost immediately, Noah starts to feel the pressure. Even with Victor's support, Jabot is not trusted by his staff. There are divisions even within the Newman family, and the Abbotts treat him like an intruder. Nick openly challenges the morality of placing Noah in control of an enemy company, while Victoria feels that Victor has erred. Adam smirks and says, "Dad's finally managed to alienate everyone, even the grandkids, enjoying the mayhem for once." Phyllis finds herself in a tight spot and knows that her only option is to exact retribution. She accesses her laptop by herself in her suite and retrieves encrypted files from Kane's pilfered AI system. Victor is unaware that she kept something there. The code has a backdoor, a weakness that only she can take advantage of. She will grant Victor a war if he desires one. She'll attack him with his own weapon. Phyllis's idea to flip the roles could have unexpected repercussions in the upcoming weeks. There are rumors that she may side with Adam because they are both outsiders in Victor's world and want to exact revenge on him. Imagine the two of them working together to use the AI to reveal Victor's manipulation of Newman Enterprises' digital operations and Jabot's stocks. The ultimate misfits, Phyllis and Adam, defeating the powerful Victor Newman from within would be poetic justice. However, the emotional toll is evident even as Phyllis prepares for her return. Her reflection in the mirror reveals the reality she finds difficult to accept. She has turned into the manipulative, lonely, and desperate person that everyone has accused her of being. Nevertheless, Phyllis will never concede defeat because she is Phyllis. Even if it means setting half of Genoa City on fire, she will rise once more. When all is said and done, Victor's most recent triumph might turn out to be his most hazardous to date. Because Noah, Phyllis, and even Nikki, the ones he's used, aren't just upset this time. They have motivation. And Victor might find himself in the midst of an uncontrollable conflict when the Abbotts and Newmans ultimately band together against him, as they will undoubtedly do. Alliances will change, secrets will blow up, and both families' legacies will be at stake when winter descends on Genoa City. One thing is certain, though: nobody can rule indefinitely, not even Victor Newman. And if Phyllis gets her way, his betrayal and business will collapse spectacularly.